Hi, I'm James McGuire, and on today's eSpeaks, we're having a wide-ranging discussion about digital transformation, about observability, about IT ops and DevOps, including the role of AI in those topics. To discuss that, I'm joined by a major industry expert. With me is Andi Mann, global CTO and founder of Sageable. Andi, happy Friday to you.
Hey, James, it's great to be with you again.
So amazing. Based on your latest research, digital transformation, there's so much going on with digital transformation. It's such a catch-all term. I think it basically means using software and hardware to make our lives more streamlined, but there's a lot underneath that. What technologies are bubbling up to the top as you see it?
Yeah, James, at Sageable, we recently did research. It's unpublished, so you're getting a scoop here.
Oh, good.
Within the next couple of months or so, I'll be publishing this, but we researched 20 different technologies in digital transformation and asked respondents at enterprises and a mixture of senior executives all the way down to individual contributors, but organizations of a decent size, what were the most important? So not just my opinion here, James, but the five that bubbled up to the top. I'll tell you, cybersecurity is always number one, right?
Right.
It's the long-term leader. It's the MVP of the IT stakes. And digital transformation is all things to all people. But the one thing you've got to make sure is you're not leaking customer data. You're not leaking proprietary information. You're not getting hacked. And so cybersecurity bubbles up to the top in every single category, by business size, by individual role, by goals, all sorts of stuff. So cyber, definitely most important. Public cloud software as a service. So SaaS. So if digital transformation is doing manual stuff in digital computer ways, one of the easiest ways is to adopt software as a service. So rather than doing manual billing, you go out and get NetSuite, for example, right? So that obviously makes a lot of sense too.
So not a new idea necessarily, but still hot after all these years.
Exactly, because it's such an easy way to get digital happening just by signing up for a cloud service, right?
Right.
Third is DevOps. No surprise there again, right? I've actually got a whole research note on why DevOps actually contributes to digital transformation. You know, it's a way of doing new things in new ways. It's a way of iterating quickly, using cloud resources, for example, using DevSecOps to be able to create and deliver new capabilities in digital forms really quickly using DevOps. So we've seen that over a long time, creating this faster iteration and innovation cycle. So that makes sense as well.
Sure. Yeah.
What else have we got? Just looking at my notes here. API technologies. Again, if I want to adopt something new that's digital instead of physical, think about if I'm building widgets and shipping them to people, then instead of doing manual shipping, I just use FedEx's API, or I use UPS or USPS's API.
Right.
And I use that API, and all of a sudden my entire shipping process is now digitized. So again, that makes sense to me.
It does. The one interesting thing about the APIs being on that list is that, of course, API is a classic that's been with us for quite a while too. So it's not the things leading digital transformation are not necessarily like, oh gosh, they're so brand new. These are in many ways tried and true favorites.
It's actually true, James. In the research that I'm looking at, and to some degree, this also makes sense because a lot of these businesses, I'm looking at enterprise businesses, right? These people typically will have legacy systems and traditional systems installed on premises, maybe. They might have multiple locations and geographies, different skill sets as well. They've got inertia in terms of being able to manage change at pace.
Right.
And so it actually sort of makes sense to me that traditional technologies, which are well proven, but which provide that shortcut to get you into cloud, to get you into digital, it actually makes a lot of sense to me.
Totally.
And rounding out the five is platform as a service. Again, it's pre-built, right? So think about Dreamforce as a platform as a service. Jump on, build what you need using their fourth generation language. All of a sudden, your customer engagement process is now digitized because you've used that platform and all of the substrate you didn't have to build. So again, not a new technology in a lot of ways. I mean, Salesforce was the first SaaS provider, right? Back in the 90s even.
Sure, right, way back.
And so this idea of using existing technology, it's a really good point, James. I'm going to have to write that up.
Interesting. Of the five, and the five all make perfect sense. Platform as a service, of course. I'm curious. Machine learning slash AI was not on there, but I guess it's not. It's still, on the growing hype curve as opposed to being a tried and true element.
Yeah. Yeah, look, machine learning and AI is really interesting. And I did ask about that separately as a technology, and it did not come to the top five.
Yeah.
But I actually believe that ML and AI is more of a feature than a technology per se when it comes to these kinds of digital transformations. You're applying ML, applying machine learning to something you're doing. You need something you're doing for it to learn from. So
Right.
obviously in IT ops, this is very much manifested around IT operations analytics and AI ops and ML ops and all of this sort of stuff, right? But again, this is interesting back to your earlier point, James. Even machine learning is not that new for
No,
IT ops.
True.
Right.
Right.
I don't know if you remember, some of your audience may remember, and I certainly do, Amigamon on mainframes 30 years ago actually had dynamic thresholding, we called it, right?
Okay.
And all
Tell
it
me,
was
please.
looking at what was normal and figuring out what was abnormal and creating a threshold based on that learning. Is that machine learning? Probably not really, but it's the precedent for where we are. And so bringing ITOA, bringing AI ops, and normalizing machine learning and bringing in some of the algorithmic or artificial or advanced or augmented intelligence, whatever the A in AI stands for today.
Right.
Ops have been doing this for a while, but that's where it's coming in. It's coming in through observability. It's coming through AI ops. It's coming through ITOA. And I'm seeing some other use cases in IT ops and incident response especially.
All right, you use the word observability. It's been hot for a while. It seems like I've seen headlines about observability. It seems like it's getting more hot as IT infrastructure gets more and more complex. We need observability more because there's more to observe. I mean, what trends are you seeing driving this modernization of IT monitoring?
Yeah, look, the observability thing's really interesting. So hot, my goodness, my friend. I am taking briefings every single day around observability. What is observability? Is the interesting thing for me is that observability is not a technology or a market, really. It's a way of looking into something. It comes out of manufacturing systems, right? The idea that you could observe what is happening inside an opaque system. And we're using that in IT, but the fact that the term came from this very general industrial use case means that we're now using it to apply to everything we do. So it's a floor polish and it's a dessert topping. So we're getting observability for IT ops. That's great. That's part of the AI ops landscape. It's part of monitoring. It's part of IT operations management, IT infrastructure management. It's providing much better capabilities because it's real time. It's actual signals, not synthetics or simulations. It's communicating not just infrastructure metrics like response time or service level, but also some business metrics, like maybe revenue or customer ID or stuff like that. You can actually make business decisions on as well. And it's amazingly suited to cloud native development in ways that traditional monolithic monitoring tools absolutely were not. So that's one area I'm seeing, but I'm also seeing it applying observability for software development. So looking into the software pipeline, observing the software development process. So observability as a term, it's an interesting one. I'm a big believer in it. I think it's fantastic. I helped create that space when I was at Splunk.
Yeah.
But I do think that it's getting overused. There's a lot of ollie washing, if you will. But it is an interesting concept that is applicable to lots of different parts of IT operations and DevOps.
Do you think that companies are actually implementing observability? Is there any way to quantify like X amount R, X amount R? Is this still nascent on the cusp upward? Or are we here to completely mainstream adoption?
Yeah, look, it's hard to tell in some ways because a lot of you can't just do normal market sizing kinds of exercises and research like Sageable does, because observability is not a market. Observability folds into log management, into IT operations analytics, into AI ops, into value stream management, into APM. So it's not it doesn't stand alone. And so when New Relic or PagerDuty or Splunk or whoever when they sell a product, are they selling it for monitoring? Are they selling it for observability? It's a bundled case, but I'll tell you, I'm talking to clients who are absolutely doing it. It's an advanced move. It's not something that I'm seeing a lot of for on-premises infrastructure, for example, for legacy or traditional applications. Very difficult to apply observability in those use cases. But for modern cloud native developments, I'm absolutely seeing enterprises applying it, often in conjunction with some of these other technologies, right? In conjunction with API technologies to be able to get at and understand performance within a partner's function rather than just within my own system, or to be able to connect my on-premises with my cloud through those APIs. So yeah, I'm definitely seeing it, but it's not taking over as a standalone market. I feel the more of the monitoring and management vendors that implement observability, it will become part of the substrate of the IT operations landscape.
Interesting. Okay. Let's talk about IT ops and DevOps. I mean, clearly we know that AI is everywhere and creeping into IT ops too. How is machine learning and AI impacting IT ops and DevOps today? What do you see in the near future here?
Oh wow, look, it's everywhere. I mean, everything's ops, right? FinOps, we've got DevSecOps, we've got ValueOps, we've got NetOps. DevOps is the original, it's the OG, right?
Yeah.
And again, DevOps is not a technology, it's a way of working, it's a cultural approach. So DevOps persists. And we started to take the concepts of DevOps in practice. So things like continuous delivery, automation, measuring what matters, some of these technology aspects to DevOps, and apply them to other areas. So now we're using MLOps, for example, using collaborative principles to manage the algorithms of machine learning. DevSecOps, using the collaboration, communication, and integration between teams, but now including the security team as well as the Dev and Ops teams, right? So these things all come around. AI Ops is another star ops to me. It's all ops to me in a lot of the ways. Right. Part of this, I think, James, is because we spend a lot of time on what I like to call big dev, little ops, right? So it's DevOps, but it's mostly dev. How many life cycles did you see finish at release, right? DevOps life cycle ends at release. It doesn't make any sense. Now operations is, I won't say catching up, but applying its own rigor and discipline to this idea of collaboration, communication, integration, delivering apps faster and better. And so applying things like AI Ops, AI for code quality, for example. If IT operations are equal partners in quality decisions pre-release, then let's get some automation in there. IT has been automating stuff for 40 years, right? We want to do every novel thing, we want to do it one time and then automate it. So things like using AI to do code quality inspections, using AI to do anomaly detection and dynamic thresholding we talked about before. It's still important. Using observability to feed AI engines to create anomaly predictions. These are the sorts of areas where AI is coming into IT ops, because within the DevOps landscape now we're no longer a service unit to the dev team. We're now able to be reliability engineers, platform engineers. And so applying AI and machine learning and these sort of AI ops technologies and using the data we're getting from observability tooling is providing this opportunity for IT ops to really accelerate that path of innovation.
Makes perfect sense, actually. All right, final question. I want to ask you about the next big thing for ops, but I'll give you my pet theory, which you can either disabuse me of or humor me of. I'll let you know. So it's thinking about AI ops, which I think of traditionally as artificial intelligence for operations, which often manages the IT department, but I think it will finally grow to really, AI ops will manage the entire business. Make any sense to you or not? And or what's the next big thing in ops at any rate?
Yeah, look, I love that, James, because exactly as I said, observability is now accessing data that we never got before. Historically, we would get performance, response time, storage load, latency, all these technical metrics. observability is able to get at anything that is emitted by the system. So if the system is emitting things like product codes, then now I know which products are more popular and I can put that into my marketing campaigns. Repeat buyers. Now I understand, at least to some extent, why buyers come back to my store, and so I can continue to promote that to new customers, so they'll come back for repeat buyers. So this is just a couple of metrics we're getting out of observability we never got before, which are business metrics. So I absolutely believe in that. I think for the senior people, CTOs, architects who are creating the next thing, then that's going to be huge. Being able to pull signals out of your applications and feed them into business units to make business decisions. Super. I love that, James. Couple of other things that's going to play out, I think, for DevOps leaders, for development leaders. Value stream management is huge. This idea of observability for the software development lifecycle.
Did you use the phrase value stream management? I want to. What is? I think I understand. What is value stream management?
Oh, so value stream management, again, we're still in terms from industry. Every time you add a new component, think about building a car. If I add a steering wheel, I'm adding value. When I put wheels on it, I'm adding value.
Gotcha. Okay.
Value stream management is managing every bit of new value you add. So in the software world, planning, coding, testing, QA, release, these are all separate phases that add value. So value stream management in IT is monitoring the software development lifecycle. More efficiency, faster, better teaming. You get people working on things they love rather than things they maybe don't. More innovation, less bug fixing. So value stream management, I think, is really going to be important. Software development observability is another term I've heard for that, by the way. And I think for the coalface IT ops individual contributors, applying AI to problems and incidents. Again, we've seen that for a long time about dynamic thresholding, but now we're getting AI that's actually doing things like going out and collecting more triage and troubleshooting information automatically based on which service is affected and which users are affected. Accessing documentation so that I don't have to go and look it up. So things like speeding up the recovery process, but also making recovery easier for level 1 without calling out level 2 or level 3. All of this, applying knowledge to the work we're already doing. See, I think of AI as augmentation more than anything else, because for experts like devs and ops, there are always things that the AI will never know and never be able to do. So being able to get the AI to augment our own intelligence so that we can focus on unknown unknowns.
Right.
That's where I think AI goes in the IT world.
Fascinating stuff, Andy. Thank you so much for your expertise today. I hope I want to keep up with Sageable and what's going on. Is there, by the way, a release date for the report that you mentioned?
Oh, James, don't push me on a hard deadline, please. I know you know deadlines. My deadline is yesterday, James. I want to get this out.
Gotcha.
I'm looking at a early July release. I want people to be able to take this away on vacation, have something pleasant to read.
Nice. All right. Andy, thanks so much for stopping by, and please come back and talk with us again sometime. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure.